Good morning, listeners. This is your biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from Jerusalem, where the atmosphere is charged with anticipation and mystery. The first rays of sunlight have barely touched the city, slowly awakening the cobblestone streets, already witness to so many historic events. The air is fresh, but there is no trace of the serenity typical of dawn. The buzz grows as rumors spread like wildfire. Something extraordinary has happened. The city is awake, and the news is unbelievable. The tomb of Jesus of Nazareth is empty. Those who arrive at the site are visibly impressed, some confused, others elated. The scene is a sea of raw human emotions. Groups form on street corners, all discussing the same mystery and sharing fragments of information like pieces of a divine puzzle. All around me, people from all over come to see for themselves, mingling with those who saw Jesus in life, touched his clothes, and heard his words. Speculation abounds. Has he risen again, as he promised? Or is there a more earthly explanation for what happened? Their faces reflect uncertainty, but also palpable hope. Religious leaders are in an uproar, trying to grasp the significance of this event. The ever-vigilant Roman authorities watch cautiously, aware of the potential for social unrest. The murmur of the crowd grows as the news spreads through the crowded streets. The wind carries gasps of surprise and exclamations of disbelief. The women who first arrived at the tomb, their voices still echoing with emotion, reported that the stone had been rolled away. There were no soldiers, only the presence of the inexplicable. The scene is visceral, almost tangible in its intensity. The sight of the empty cave becomes the epicenter of a new chapter in human history. We are in a moment of transition, where the ordinary world confronts the extraordinary. Our eyes are fixed on a point of emptiness, yet one filled with meaning. We will know more soon. Stay tuned as we continue our coverage. Here, on the front lines, history unfolds before us, a story that may change the narrative of humanity forever. We are here, at the break of dawn, on the streets of Jerusalem, where the impossible seems to have occurred. The protagonist of this extraordinary narrative, Jesus of Nazareth, a man whose words and actions challenge the status quo, is now the epicenter of a mystery that intrigues not only his followers but the entire city. This man, publicly executed and buried in a sealed tomb, is now the center of rumors of a miraculous event. The tomb where he was laid, guarded by Roman soldiers, is empty. The great question that resonates between the stone walls and the bustling markets of Jerusalem echoes intensely: where is he? Alongside Jesus, the people, his disciples, and devoted followers are caught in a profound dilemma. These men and women, who walked beside him, heard his parables, and witnessed his miracles, now face overwhelming confusion. Mary Magdalene, one of the first to arrive at the tomb, stands here, her clothes still wet with tears of grief transformed into tears of bewilderment. She is a living symbol of the hope and despair that collide in this dramatic moment. The disciples, a mix of fishermen, former tax collectors, and zealots, are trying to understand what this means. Peter, impulsive and fervent, and John, the disciple Jesus loved, were seen running toward the tomb after hearing the news. The scene is as intense as any battle, but instead of swords and shields, it is faith and doubt that wage a silent battle within each heart. The people of Jerusalem, a multitude that witnessed his crucifixion and now hears rumors of the empty tomb, are divided. Some believe it is a divine sign, while others suspect a hoax. Voices rise in the squares and on street corners, creating a cacophony of unanswered questions. The dilemma is clear: believe or doubt, hope or despair. In this uncertain scenario, one thing is clear: the emptiness of the tomb is not just a physical absence, but a catalyst for a whirlwind of emotions and beliefs. This pivotal moment in history is unfolding before us, and the search for truth has only just begun. What really happened? Where is Jesus now? These are the questions everyone, from humble disciples to powerful leaders, is trying to answer. Stay with us as we continue to follow this extraordinary story. We are here, at the epicenter of an unprecedented historical event, where emotions are running high. The scene around me is one of pure bewilderment, as people of all backgrounds gather, open-mouthed, before the empty tomb that until 3 days ago housed the body of Jesus of Nazareth. What unfolds before our eyes is more than a simple absence. It is a riddle that touches the heart of faith and obedience, central themes among Jesus' followers. The atmosphere here is palpable, filled with murmurs, whispers of disbelief, but also of renewed hope. Faith, that invisible force that moves mountains, is tested and, at the same time, galvanized. The disciples, still stunned, reflect on the words Jesus spoke, now resonating with new clarity, "In 3 days I will rise again." This is the moment when faith ceases to be merely a silent belief and transforms into a vibrant conviction, a certainty that the impossible can, indeed, be possible. Here we observe the unwavering obedience of figures like Mary Magdalene and other followers, who, despite fear and doubt, maintained their vigil at the tomb. Their constant presence is a living testament to devotion. They are the first to witness the emptiness that speaks louder than any words. Obedience, in this context, is not blind or forced, but rather a powerful expression of love and loyalty, a commitment to Jesus' message that transcends the despair of death. Faith and obedience intertwine in this scene, not just as themes of an ancient narrative, but as driving forces that transform lives. The eyes of those present shine with a mixture of reverent awe and restrained joy as news of the empty tomb spreads rapidly. This event defies logic and reason, forcing those who witness it to reevaluate their deepest convictions. Dear listeners, we are faced with something that is more than a story or a tale. It is a call to the human heart, an invitation to believe in the invisible, to obey the call of faith even when the path is dark and uncertain. The empty tomb is not just physical proof of a miracle. It is, above all, a powerful symbol of the resurrection of hope, the renewal of faith, and the triumph of life over death. This extraordinary event continues to reverberate, changing the course of history and souls. This is your Biblical Frontline Reporter, bringing you updates directly from the scene of the events that are shaking all of Jerusalem. A wind of change has begun to blow across these lands, and it all began with an almost imperceptible omen, but now resounds like thunder in the hearts of many. We are here, on the threshold of what many call a miracle. Witnesses speak of an earthquake, not just physical, but spiritual. This tremor marked the first sign that something extraordinary was about to happen. In the darkness of the night, the earth shook, and the veil of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom. It was an omen that many did not immediately understand, but now, with the tomb empty, it takes on a new and frightening meaning. People on the streets talk about angels. Yes, angels. Reports from astonished guards tell of resplendent figures, dressed in white, who appeared like a flash of lightning in the early hours of Sunday. The guards guarding the tomb, robust men trained to face any threat, were seen trembling with fear, falling as if dead before the heavenly vision. This is the first tangible sign that something greater is afoot. As news of the empty tomb spreads, unrest grows. In the marketplaces, in the synagogues, on every street corner, people whisper, debate, and conjecture, trying to understand what it all means. The women who arrived at the tomb at dawn, bringing spices and perfumes, found the stone rolled away and the place empty. They claimed to have seen and heard those mysterious messengers who proclaimed, "He is not here, he has risen." There's a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. Roman authorities and religious leaders are on alert, trying to quell the rumors and maintain order. However, there's one thing that cannot be silenced: the growing conviction that this omen is only the beginning of an irreversible transformation. The clouds part, and the sun begins to shine once more over Jerusalem. As chaos unfolds, a new hope begins to spread among believers. This is the first sign of change, a portent that the impossible may have truly happened. Stay with us for more updates as events unfold. This is Urgent News Radio, live from the Biblical Frontlines. Here we are, on a morning marked by the disbelief and murmuring of an entire city. The sun has barely risen above the horizon, and news of the empty tomb spreads like wildfire. I stand here, among disciples and followers, observing the confusion and hesitation that permeate the air. Amidst looks of disbelief, the protagonist of this drama, Peter, hesitates at the edge of the open tomb. Picture the scene, the cold morning wind rustling Peter's clothes as he stands motionless, paralyzed by a torrent of thoughts. The others around him are murmuring, some in shock, some in despair, but Peter stares intently into the tomb, his eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and hope. The questions running through his mind are almost palpable. He wonders, is this true? Could he really have been resurrected? Doubt and faith wage a silent battle in his heart. He remembers the words Jesus spoke about his resurrection, words that at the time seemed enigmatic but now take on overwhelming meaning. While the others begin to disperse, still stunned by the discovery, Pedro remains there, in an internal dialogue that seems to last an eternity. He's on a threshold, between belief and disbelief, between hope and skepticism. The pressure to understand the impossible weighs on his shoulders like a rock. Slowly, he takes a step forward, the movement almost imperceptible, as if testing the waters of a new world. His feet echo softly against the stone floor, a metaphor for the monumental decision he must make. He steps deeper, his heart beating like a drum in a silence filled with anticipation. The others watch from a distance, respecting the space of this intimate and crucial moment. And then, finally, Peter turns, his face a mask of determination and newfound certainty. What began as hesitation turns into an awakening. He emerges from the tomb, his gaze now fixed on a future he doesn't yet fully understand, but is willing to face. Here, outside, the atmosphere changes. The murmur turns into an expectant silence, each person present realizing they have witnessed something that transcends human understanding. Pedro, the reluctant protagonist, now faces his fate, and the world will never be the same again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live with startling news that is shaking all of Jerusalem and beyond. Just days ago, in this same city teeming with murmurs and tensions, an itinerant rabbi named Jesus of Nazareth was crucified under Roman orders. But today, in an unexpected turn of events, the situation changes dramatically. The tomb where his body was laid to rest is empty. Yes, you heard correctly. Empty. A peaceful, almost melancholic dawn turned into a frenzy of speculation and emotion. Eyewitnesses, those devoted women who went to the tomb to anoint the master's body, reported that the gigantic stone blocking the tomb's entrance had been removed. Not by human effort, but by something seemingly supernatural. They mention a figure, a messenger shrouded in a radiance that defies description, announcing that he is no longer among the dead. This is the turning point, the moment when history takes a sharp turn. The city, already in religious fervor due to Easter, now finds itself in the midst of a spiritual uproar. The streets are filled with excitement, whispers turning into heated arguments. The Roman soldiers, those charged with guarding the tomb, are eerily silent. Some say they are astonished, others mention fear. The religious leadership, the Pharisees and Sadducees, are caught in a storm of doubt and disbelief. This catalytic event forces a response, an action that can no longer be postponed. What is happening here? Where is the body? Has this Jesus truly been resurrected, as he himself had prophesied? The impact of this event is seismic, not only for Jesus' followers, who are now emerging from the shadows of doubt with renewed hope, but also for all of us, observers of these changing times. The emptiness of the tomb echoes with a meaning we are still struggling to grasp. History, friends, will not be the same. Stay with us as we continue to bring you more updates on this extraordinary development. This is your Biblical Frontline Reporter, bringing you news straight from the heart of the extraordinary events unfolding. We are here as dawn breaks over Jerusalem, surrounded by an atmosphere of anticipation mixed with palpable fear. The news spreads like wildfire, the tomb is empty. The city is whispering, every corner echoing with murmurs of uncertainty and wonder. We are faced with a group of followers, men and women who for 3 years walked alongside Jesus of Nazareth. Now, they face a decisive moment, a calling that rises from the shadows of doubt and loss. Their faces are lined with weariness, but their eyes shine with newfound determination. Among them, Mary Magdalene stands out, being the first to discover the empty tomb. The urgency in her voice as she recounts what she saw is unmistakable, and you can feel your heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. She is not alone. Beside her, Peter and John, whose hands still tremble slightly, are absorbing the magnitude of what an empty tomb means. They are being called to a mission they could never have imagined. Accepting this call is not easy. There is a heavy silence as each of them ponders the implications of moving forward. Fear is an unwelcome guest, whispering about persecution, imprisonment, and the very real possibility of facing the same fate as Jesus. But above this fear, there is a voice that whispers courage and purpose, an invisible force that seems to envelop them, holding them tightly. We are witnessing an extraordinary moment, readers. Despite the fear, a resilience spreads among them. It's like watching a seed sprout in arid soil, a spark of light in a dark hallway. The decision is clear: they will move forward, proclaiming what they saw and heard, carrying the message that death is not the end. As this collective acceptance crystallizes, there is a visible shift. Fear is still present, but it is no longer the protagonist. Instead, there is a growing sense of purpose. As if, in accepting the call, they have found a greater understanding of their own strength and mission. The tense atmosphere begins to dissipate, replaced by a determination that is both quiet and powerful. And so, here in Jerusalem, as the sun begins to illuminate the streets, this is your biblical frontline reporter, reporting on the birth of a new hope, a courage that overcomes fear, and a call that will echo through the ages. Stay tuned, for this is only the beginning. Dear listeners, we are here, live, immersed in the fervent beginning of an unprecedented journey. The sun rises on the horizon, tinting the sky a soft gold, while the streets of Jerusalem are still silent. Only the whisper of the wind and the hurried footsteps of a few women break the morning stillness. They are Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome. These courageous and determined women are preparing for an important task. Carrying precious spices, their hands are steady, but their hearts are filled with uncertainty. This is the first step on a journey that, little do they know, will change the course of history. Take a deep breath with us as we attempt to capture the essence of this moment. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation. The air is fresh, but feels thick with the pressure of the unknown. See, they move quickly but carefully, exchanging words of encouragement. Their eyes reflect a mixture of sadness and hope. Their simple robes sway gently, reflecting the dawn light. Around them, the city begins to awaken, but nothing seems to divert their focus. They are on their way to Jesus' tomb, to anoint his body according to custom. Just hours ago, their world was torn apart by the pain of the crucifixion. Now, every step echoes the determination to honor the one who meant so much to them. It's a short walk, but the emotional toll is immense. Will there be guards? How will they move the stone? These questions flutter through their minds, but they don't stop. Their journey begins amidst uncertainty, but is driven by a transcendent inner strength. Each step is a testament to faith, a silent declaration of love and loyalty. They don't know that their determination will be rewarded in a way that defies all comprehension. We are here, capturing every nuance, every breath. This is just the beginning of a story that will unfold in unexpected ways. Join us as we follow these women closely, witnessing the courage of those who take the first step into the unknown. Stay with us as this journey unfolds, because what awaits us may be the greatest revelation of our time. We are here, right before the tomb that, until yesterday, held the body of Jesus of Nazareth. The morning has barely begun, but we have already witnessed a scene that defies all comprehension. Around me, there is a mixture of astonishment and nervous murmurs. The air is charged with a palpable tension. Women, who came at dawn bringing oils and spices to anoint the body, now crowd together, gesturing anxiously and confused. The unexpected, the inconceivable, has just happened. The stone that sealed the tomb's entrance has been moved. And as we approach, the silence is broken only by the sound of our hurried footsteps on the packed earth. Inside, the place where the body should have rested is empty. The linen cloths that once wrapped Jesus' body are there, carefully folded. It's as if they were left behind by someone who left calmly, unhurriedly. A scene that echoes silence but screams mystery. The women speak of a vision. They say angels in resplendent robes appeared, proclaiming that he had risen. There stands Mary Magdalene, the first to notice something was wrong. Her eyes are wide, her voice trembling but firm. She also reports seeing a figure she initially thought was a gardener, but later recognized as Jesus. Her words are almost incredulous, but charged with a truth that makes the heart race. We are crossing a threshold, entering unknown territory, where the laws of nature seem to have been defied. Questions pile up. Where is Jesus now? How is this possible? Uncertainty is a veil over the faces around me, but there is also a spark of hope beginning to ignite. This is a moment of transition, from what was known to a future we cannot yet fully understand. The disciples, warned by Mary and the other women, are still on their way. What will they find here? Will they join in our perplexity or bring answers? This is the turning point, where history, faith, and destiny collide. Stay with us as we continue to recount this extraordinary event, seeking to understand the meaning of this void that, paradoxically, is so full of promise. We are here, at the epicenter of an event that is shaking the foundations of the world as we know it. Just days ago, the tomb where Jesus of Nazareth was buried was found empty. The news spread like wildfire, and now, as the hours pass, the first tests of faith and loyalty begin to emerge among those who followed him. All around me, I see faces marked by uncertainty. The disciples, those men who walked alongside Jesus, are now torn between hope and doubt. Peter, who was so often the rock on which Jesus built his message, seems overcome by a mixture of guilt and expectation. He, who denied Jesus 3 times, now faces the possibility of an even greater redemption. Among the followers, Mary Magdalene stands out. She was one of the first to witness the empty tomb and has now become a force of hope and unwavering faith. Her voice carries a conviction that resonates with those who hear it, making her a crucial ally in this resurrection narrative. On the other hand, his enemies are not few. The Pharisees, religious leaders who opposed Jesus during his lifetime, are now moving with urgency. They question the veracity of the reports, claiming the body was stolen. Their spies and informants are everywhere, intensifying their surveillance of Jesus' followers in an attempt to stifle any resurgence of his influence. Tensions also rise with the presence of the Romans. The Roman authorities, who participated in Jesus' crucifixion, view the situation with caution and skepticism. Pontius Pilate, the governor, seeks to maintain order in Jerusalem, fearing that any disturbance could escalate into a full-blown rebellion. He orders increased patrols, bringing an atmosphere of pressure and anxiety to the city's streets. At this moment, we witness a scene where each ally of Jesus must face their own inner demons, while each enemy prepares for an inevitable confrontation. The atmosphere is tense, the dust stirred up by the hurried footsteps of the crowds never settles. The question that hangs in the air is, with the tomb empty, where is he, and what does this mean for all of us? From Jerusalem, I continue to follow every movement, every whisper, every shadow that lengthens at the end of the day. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the epicenter of this extraordinary event. The tension is palpable as we stand in the icy stillness of the garden where the tomb of Jesus of Nazareth is located. The first light of morning envelopes the space, revealing the first major obstacle that stood before Jesus' followers, the enormous stone sealing the tomb. This heavy, imposing stone was placed there by order of religious leaders, who feared Jesus' body would be stolen. The Roman seal, a guarantee of security, is still broken, and the guards who should have been here are nowhere to be seen. They were tasked with guarding this sacred site, but reports of a dazzling light and an earthquake caused them to flee, leaving the tomb unguarded. As the sun begins to rise, a group of women, led by Mary Magdalene, hesitantly approaches. They bring with them perfumes and spices, prepared to honor Jesus' body. The scene is one of anticipation and apprehension. The challenge before them is monumental, both physical and emotional. The stone, too heavy for ordinary human hands to move, represents not only a physical barrier but also the weight of despair and doubt that hangs over Jesus' followers. But something unbelievable happened. The stone was mysteriously removed, rolled aside, opening the way to a puzzling void. As the women approached, they shared a look of astonishment and awe. The cost of this challenge is immediate and profound: uncertainty and fear of the unknown. They are in unfamiliar territory, facing the consequences of a miracle they cannot yet comprehend. Rumors are already beginning to spread throughout Jerusalem. This event, this first major obstacle inexplicably overcome, is the catalyst for a series of events that will change history forever. Jesus' followers are about to face unimaginable challenges, and it all begins here, with an empty tomb and a rolled stone. Stay with us as we continue to follow this extraordinary story, full of mystery and hope. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, capturing every moment of this historic day. We are here in the heart of Jerusalem, where the events of the last few days have unfolded with an almost palpable intensity. The morning is still chilly, and the air feels thick with tension and anticipation. The cobblestone streets are filled with murmurs and hurried footsteps, as rumors of the empty tomb spread like wildfire. Among the crowds, the atmosphere is a mix of stunned silence and agitated murmurs. The disciples, those who followed Jesus with unwavering devotion, now find themselves in an emotional limbo, oscillating between hope and doubt. The small victory of finding the empty tomb brought with it a spark of hope, but also a flood of unanswered questions. The scene at the garden tomb is almost surreal. The guards, who had previously kept watch, were seen retreating, visibly distraught. A colossal stone, which sealed the tomb's entrance, was inexplicably moved. The shroud that wrapped Jesus' body lies there, abandoned, carefully folded. For many, this is a sign, an indication that the impossible may have happened. Hope, however, is a double-edged sword. Amid this revelation, there is a growing buzz of theories and suspicions. Some believe the body was stolen, a desperate attempt to create a hoax. Others speak of a resurrection, something that defies not only logic but also the very fabric of reality. The disciples, still shaken by their master's brutal crucifixion, are torn between the euphoria of a possible resurrection and the fear of a cruel deception. For them, the emptiness of the tomb is a space charged with promise and, at the same time, a shadow of uncertainty. Every face in the crowd reflects this tension, every gaze searching for answers that have not yet been revealed. Amidst the chaos, there are accounts of encounters and visions, of a presence that transcends human understanding. The small victory of the empty tomb is a turning point, a moment when faith and doubt intertwine in a delicate ballet. Hope, as fragile as a breath of wind, hangs in the air like an unfulfilled promise. We are all waiting, attentive and anxious, for any sign, any word that might bring clarity to this mystery. The small victory is real, but the journey is far from over. Where is he? This is the question that echoes in every heart, reverberating through the streets of Jerusalem, as the sun begins to rise on the horizon, promising a new day. Ladies and gentlemen, we're reporting live from the heart of Jerusalem, where the air is thick with tension and uncertainty. In recent hours, the city has become a cauldron of emotions and anticipation, as the tomb that held the body of Jesus of Nazareth is inexplicably empty. But while many wonder about the Master's whereabouts, a new and disturbing movement is unfolding around us. The streets are filled with murmurs of a growing sense of danger. Local authorities, already on alert since the events preceding the crucifixion, now appear to be stepping up their efforts. Sources close to the Sanhedrin report closed-door meetings. The fear of a revolt is palpable. Roman patrols are intensifying, soldiers march with renewed vigor, their footsteps echoing through the narrow alleys. The clang of armor and the clang of swords create an ominous soundtrack that accompanies the dawn. Among the population, the mood is one of apprehension. Some speak of visions and miracles, while others fear reprisals. News of the empty tomb spreads like wildfire, fueling rumors that Jesus' followers may be planning something big. His name is on everyone's lips, like a spark ready to ignite. In the surrounding area, groups of followers begin to gather in secret. They whisper about Jesus' words, hope is reborn, but fear is a constant companion. The watchful eyes of the soldiers and temple spies leave no room for error. Any false move could trigger immediate repression. Meanwhile, at Roman headquarters, Governor Pontius Pilate is pressured to take decisive action. His attempt to maintain peace in the region is challenged by this new reality. Political tension is rising. Religious leaders fear losing control over the people, while the Romans worry about the stability of the empire. This is a decisive moment. The enemy is not just the occupying military force, but also internal turmoil, fear of the unknown, and the power of ideas that cannot be contained by bars or swords. We remain here, vigilant, in the midst of a city that could become the stage for an unprecedented movement. At any moment, the balance could be shattered, and when that happens, we will be ready to report. Stay tuned as history unfolds before our eyes. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the heart of Jerusalem, where an atmosphere of astonishment and questioning hangs over the city. After the shocking news that the tomb is empty, the community is in turmoil, rumors swirling like a sandstorm. But today, we focus on a small group that has gathered in secret, seeking to devise a new plan amid this wave of uncertainty. Inside a modest room with cold stone walls and lit only by flickering candles, the disciples are gathered. Their faces, etched by days of fear and doubt, reflect the tension of the moment. They sit in a tight circle, whispering in hushed tones to avoid attracting the attention of the authorities who are still eagerly searching for them. Pedro, with his robust presence and determined gaze, takes the lead in the discussion. His voice is firm, but there's a hint of vulnerability, an understanding that things will never be the same again. He speaks of the need to spread out, to carry the message the Master entrusted to them to every corner of the earth. We need to be strong, united, he affirms, his voice echoing in the small room. Beside him, Joao, with his calmer and more introspective demeanor, suggests that they must maintain their faith, even in the face of so many difficulties. He recalls the words and teachings they received, instilling hope and courage in his companions. His presence seems to bring a sense of peace, a reminder that they are not alone on this journey. Meanwhile, Mary Magdalene, a key figure and eyewitness to the empty tomb, shares her experience with a passion and conviction that captivates everyone. Her description of the events is vivid, almost palpable. She firmly believes there is a greater purpose at play, something that transcends immediate comprehension. The air in the room is heavy, but there's an invisible thread of hope uniting everyone. They know they must act, that a new era is about to begin. The decision to spread the word, to carry the message forward, is made with consensus and determination. Suddenly, the modest space feels larger, as if their mission is greater than any of them could imagine. This is a moment of transformation, a turning point that could change the course of history. We will continue to closely follow the unfolding of this audacious plan as the disciples prepare to face the unknown with renewed courage and faith. Stay tuned for more live updates on this unfolding narrative. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, signing off for now. We are here in Jerusalem, as the city pulses with an almost palpable tension. The sun has just risen, but the air is already thick with anticipation. The usually bustling streets are now filled with murmurs and worried looks. The news has spread like wildfire, the tomb is empty. What was supposed to be a final resting place is now the epicenter of a mystery that grows deeper by the second. As I move through the crowd, I can feel the rapid rhythm of hearts, like a clock ticking down to something monumental about to happen. The people here are anxious, their faces showing a mixture of astonishment and disbelief. Furtive glances are exchanged, as if each is waiting for the other to have some answer, some explanation for the inexplicable. I approach a group of men and women whispering among themselves. They discuss rumors that Jesus' disciples may have taken the body, but there are also whispers of something more miraculous, something that defies logic and reason. Resurrection, the word hangs in the air, charged with hope and skepticism in equal measure. The imaginary clock continues to tick in our minds, each second passing like a drumbeat resonating in our chests. The presence of Roman soldiers on site only reinforces the gravity of the situation. They are tense, alert, their eyes scanning the area, as if expecting something, or someone, to appear at any moment. The silence that descends is almost deafening. Only the distant sound of footsteps, the occasional rustle of a tunic in the wind. The clouds in the sky seem to hover, suspended like an omen. Every second that passes without a response turns the anticipation into an almost unbearable tension. The religious leaders are gathered in a corner, discussing in hushed tones. They seem as lost as anyone here. This is a situation that challenges even their authority and control. What's at stake is more than just a missing body, it's the very nature of belief and doubt. And so, here we are, amidst this deafening silence, amidst the incessant ticking of uncertainty. We are all caught in this moment, like a collective held breath, waiting, watching, unsure of what the next second will bring. The tension is palpable, and the inevitable seems on the verge of revealing itself. Where is it? This is the question that echoes, as time continues to march forward, relentless. This is your reporter from the biblical frontlines, reporting directly from Jerusalem, where the atmosphere is one of uncertainty and despair. It's the third day after the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth, and the city is immersed in a heavy silence that contrasts with the turmoil of the past few days. This seems to be the darkest moment for the followers of the man many believe to be the Messiah. The disciples are in hiding, fearing for their safety, while rumors and whispers ripple through the narrow, dusty streets. All around me, I see somber faces, stares lost in a void, each reflecting a sense of irreparable loss. Recent events have dealt a devastating blow to those who placed their hopes and dreams in Jesus. The crucifixions on Golgotha are still fresh in my memory, the sound of hammers, the screams of agony, and the darkness that has covered the land like a veil of mourning. Inside the houses, locked doors and shuttered windows shelter small groups of followers in silent prayer, seeking solace amidst disbelief and fear. There is an almost palpable stillness in the air, interrupted only by the occasional distant sound of hurried footsteps or murmurs. The city, which not long ago was bustling with the triumphant entry of Jesus, now seems a place of shadows and uncertainty. For many, this is a time to question their beliefs, to face the harsh reality that the one who promised salvation and a new kingdom is no longer among them. The promises, the miracles, the words of hope, all seem distant now, almost like a dream from which they have been abruptly awakened. Yet even amidst the darkness of despair, there are those who still hold a spark of hope, a thread of faith that refuses to be extinguished. They remember Jesus' words of resurrection, of a triumphant return, but doubt weighs upon them like a cloud. Here, on the front lines of events that could change the course of history, the anticipation is tangible. What will come next? This is the question on the lips of many, as time seems to drag toward an uncertain conclusion. We will continue to bring you the latest updates as the world anxiously awaits an answer, a sign, anything that might break this darkness. Stay tuned. We are here, at the dawn of a day that has already proven extraordinary, when a sweeping revelation defies reality and human understanding. The tomb that was supposed to hold the body of Jesus of Nazareth is empty. And now, a new wave of spiritual understanding emerges, a divine insight that is sweeping through Jerusalem like a mighty wind. As we stand before the tomb, the news spreads like wildfire. The faces of those around us reflect a mixture of astonishment and hope, as if a new light is dawning on the horizon of their minds. This insight isn't just about a missing body, it's about the promise of resurrection, a concept that once seemed distant and abstract, but now pulsates with a life of its own. Sources close to the disciples say they are beginning to understand that the Master's words were not mere metaphors. "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up," he had said. And here we are, on the third day. The meaning of those words is unfolding before our eyes, transforming despair into anticipation. Witnesses report visions of angels, heavenly messengers who appear to announce that Jesus is no longer among the dead. For many, this celestial appearance is confirmation that we are witnessing a new covenant between heaven and earth. The resurrection, until then a distant promise, now appears as a tangible reality, something that redefines what it means to believe. Those who were in doubt, who found themselves in the darkness of grief, now find their hearts kindled by renewed faith. It's as if a curtain has been lifted, revealing a new dimension of reality where death doesn't have the final word. This changes everything. The resurrection is not just an event, it is a catalyst that transforms lives, inspires courage, and breathes new life into a community that was on the brink of collapse. As the city awakens to this revolutionary truth, we are here to witness the evolution of a movement that could change the course of history. The resurrection is more than a miracle, it is the key that frees humanity from the chains of doubt and despair. This divine insight is shaping the future, and we are right at the epicenter of this singular moment. Stay with us as we continue to unravel this incredible story, in real time, directly from the front lines of biblical events. This is a Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from Jerusalem. Dawn breaks across the horizon, bringing with it an unexpected and breathtaking turn of events. After the initial shock of the empty tomb, the city, still stunned, begins to regain its strength. The streets, once silent, now echo with murmurs of growing hope. Everywhere, small groups form, discussing in urgent and emotional tones. The disciples, who until yesterday seemed dissolved by grief, are now seen uniting again. Witnesses report that Mary Magdalene and other women were the first to spread the news, running through the cobblestone alleys, their voices broken with emotion. They claim to have seen angels, proclaiming that he is alive. This report, previously stifled by disbelief, now finds more attentive ears. People gather around anyone who might have new information, their eyes reflecting a mixture of fear, excitement, and renewed faith. The Roman soldiers guarding the tomb are in disarray, their expressions revealing confusion and discomfort. The Roman seal has been broken, and the authorities are in an uproar, trying to understand what has escaped their control. The city, a cauldron of emotions, finds itself on the brink of something new and unknown. Meanwhile, as the sun rises in the sky, the disciples begin to gather secretly in homes and gardens, their whispered conversations carrying a tone of anticipation and determination. Some say Peter returned to his group with renewed strength, his eyes shining with unshakable conviction. He seems to be leading the movement, his words inflaming hearts for a cause that now seems not only possible, but inevitable. Here, in the heart of Jerusalem, hope, once fragile and wavering, takes shape and voice. The people, thirsting for answers, find a new sense of purpose. Amidst the chaos, a silent force consolidates, a faith that refuses to be extinguished. With the tomb empty, the question hangs in the air, but the certainty that something extraordinary is unfolding is palpable, almost tangible. The city awakens, and with it, a new era of possibilities. Stay with us, you're listening to the radio with urgent news. New stories will emerge at any moment. Here on the front lines, we continue to report, witnessing every step of this incredible journey. This is your Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from Jerusalem during a moment of eerie stillness. The sun has risen in a clear sky, but the atmosphere here is charged with an almost palpable tension. The streets are still silent, as if the city is holding its breath, waiting for something grand. Rumors began to circulate as soon as dawn broke. The tomb, which was supposed to be guarded and sealed, was found empty. Roman authorities were in an uproar. The imperial seal, which was supposed to guarantee the eternal repose of the body of Jesus of Nazareth, had been broken. A blast of icy wind seemed to have swept the place away, erasing any evidence of what really happened. Witnesses claimed to have heard unusual sounds throughout the night. A slight tremor, followed by a silence that seemed deeper than usual. Some guards, visibly shaken, speak of an intense light, a heavenly figure. Others, incredulous, claim that the disciples stole the body under the cover of darkness. But at this point, everything is conjecture. As authorities investigate, the city stands on the brink of an emotional precipice. In the marketplace, voices are hushed, conversations whispered. Mothers call their children home, glancing nervously at the sky. Doors close early, as if a storm is about to unleash itself upon Jerusalem. The disciples, those faithful followers, are keeping themselves out of the public eye, immersed in their own speculations and fears. The question that hangs in the air is, where is he? What if what he promised really happened? What if this is not the end, but a new beginning? Hope is reborn, but so is fear of the unknown. In this scenario of uncertainty, the next act awaits. The calm we now witness is unsettling, like the silence before the breaking waves of an impending storm. Here, in the heart of Jerusalem, everyone waits with racing hearts for what comes next. If you're just tuning in, the tomb is empty, and the city is on the verge of a revelation. We will continue to follow each development of this story that promises to change the course of time. Stay with us. This is your Frontline Reporter, reporting live from the bustling streets of Jerusalem. We stand at a critical juncture, an unprecedented turning point. The buzz here is almost palpable, as the bombshells continue to spread like wildfire. The stone has been rolled away, the tomb is empty, and the question lingers: where is he? The Roman soldiers, who had been stationed to guard the site until then, are now visibly distraught. Their faces reflect a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Reports say they fell as if dead, such was the intensity of what they witnessed. They claim to have seen a bright light like lightning and the majestic figure of a supernatural being. There is a touch of awe and reverence in their voices, a tale that defies the logic of men trained to fear nothing. Out on the streets, the disciples are still trying to comprehend the magnitude of what has happened. Peter and John, with tense expressions, are seen running toward the tomb. There is an urgency in their steps, a silent desperation to confirm the unbelievable. Arriving there, they find only the linen cloths, carefully folded. The scene is both an enigma and a revelation. The atmosphere is electric. Religious leaders, on the other hand, are in a state of denial and crisis. Gathered in their chambers, they echo orders and strategies to counter the narrative that threatens to turn the world upside down. The streets are filled with murmurs, a growing agitation as people everywhere fervently discuss what this means. In this early climax, emotions are running high. The entire city seems on the brink of an inevitable clash between faith and reason, doubt and beliefs. The tension is palpable as every soul searches for answers, trying to understand if this is truly the beginning of something divine. From where I stand, I can see faces lit with hope, others shadowed by doubt. It's a moment of feverish anticipation, a frozen instant on the threshold of history. We will continue to monitor every movement, every murmur, as unfolding events promise to redefine the course of humanity. Stay with us for further updates on this evolving historical account. Here we are, my listeners, at one of the most dramatic and unexpected turnarounds we have ever witnessed. The sun had barely risen over Jerusalem when a rumor began to spread through the narrow, dusty streets. The tomb of Jesus of Nazareth is empty. I repeat, the tomb is empty. This belief hangs heavy in the air like a smokescreen after battle, covering the city with a blanket of confusion and speculation. The scene is one of utter turmoil. Roman soldiers, who have been assigned to guard the tomb's entrance, are stunned. They still stand there, paralyzed, unable to explain how the stone sealing the entrance was removed. Some are murmuring among themselves, others simply stare at the ground, unable to face the growing crowd gathering around the site. It's as if everyone knows they are witnessing something beyond the ordinary, something that defies logic and the established order. Religious leaders, who were once certain this chapter was closed, now find themselves forced to react quickly. They are here too, their expressions one of concern mixed with disbelief. They are whispering among themselves, discussing animatedly, trying to find an explanation, a solution to this new and disconcerting reality. The tension is palpable, a war of words and glances, a battle without swords, but equally fierce. Jesus' followers, those who considered him their teacher and guide, are in a state of shock and hope. Some fall to their knees, praying or perhaps seeking understanding. Others move frantically, as if seeking to confirm with their own eyes what their minds cannot accept. There are tears, uncertain smiles, a frenzy of emotions that sweeps through the room like a storm. Right now, the city that has barely awakened seems to be on the verge of a new beginning. People are talking, speculating, each adding their own spin to the emerging narrative. What does this mean for the future? What path will be forged from this upheaval? While questions multiply, The only certainty is that the emptiness of the tomb has brought with it a wave of uncertainty and possibility. We are undoubtedly at the epicenter of a monumental shift, and only time will tell what its consequences will be. Stay with us as we continue to follow this story that is just beginning to unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm reporting directly from Jerusalem, where the commotion is palpable, and a mystery deepens with each passing moment. The tomb, the one that held the body of Jesus of Nazareth, is, incredibly, empty. The stone sealing the entrance, a formidable obstacle, has been removed, and, against all expectations, there is no sign of him inside. The air is filled with an almost electric tension, as crowds begin to gather nearby. Disciples, followers, and even the curious all seek answers to what many are calling a miraculous event. There are murmurs of an angel being seen, or a resplendent figure who is said to have announced that he is risen. The news spreads like wildfire, igniting hearts and minds with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The soldiers on guard duty appear stunned, unable to explain how something like this could have happened under their watchful eyes. Witnesses speak of an earthquake at dawn, an invisible force that seems to have moved the earth itself, as if the universe were reacting to this extraordinary turn of events. Inside the tomb, the shroud that wrapped the body is carefully folded, a detail that only adds to the intrigue. There are no signs of a hasty theft. Every detail seems calculated, part of a plan much larger than anyone could have imagined. As we watch, the entire city seems to be in a frenzy. Religious leaders are in turmoil, trying to contain the spread of this news that challenges their own expectations and beliefs. However, for many here, this is the climax of a narrative that began 3 days ago, when the man who taught love and compassion was crucified. Now, at the dawn of a new day, victory seems to belong to those who believe that death did not have the final word. Here, at the epicenter of this miracle, the atmosphere is one of anticipation. What does this event mean for the future? What implications will it have for the world? Only time will tell, but today, we witness the birth of something that will transform the course of history forever. This is a direct account of the scene, where the impossible has just become reality. Stay tuned, as the story continues to unfold before our eyes. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the scene that is shaking all of Jerusalem. The news that has just arrived is so extraordinary that many still refuse to believe it. We are at the site where the most mysterious events are unfolding, before the astonished eyes of followers, skeptics, and authorities. The tomb that held Jesus of Nazareth is empty. That's right, empty. The women who came with spices to anoint the body found the stone rolled away and the tomb wide open. Now, the confusion and shock reverberate like a seismic wave throughout the city. People are in the streets, murmuring, questioning. Roman soldiers guarding the tomb are stunned, unable to explain how the stone was moved without anyone noticing. Word spreads quickly through the alleys and markets. The air seems charged with anticipation and disbelief. At this moment, many of Jesus' disciples are gathering together, seeking answers. There is a growing fervor among them, a mixture of hope and fear. What does this mean? Where is the body? The religious leaders are perplexed, and there are reports that they are gathered, perhaps in panic, perhaps planning a response. Some claim to have seen angels at the tomb, others speak of an indescribable divine presence. One thing is certain, nothing can be taken for granted at this moment. The immediate impact of this event is profound. Followers who have been discouraged now seem invigorated by a new hope. The city is in an uproar. Discussions rage on every street corner, in homes, in temples. Roman authorities are undoubtedly concerned about the potential for civil unrest. If you're just tuning in, the tomb is empty, and the city is on the verge of a revelation. We will continue to follow each development of this story that promises to change the course of time. Stay with us. This is your Frontline Reporter, reporting live from the bustling streets of Jerusalem. We stand at a critical juncture, an unprecedented turning point. The buzz here is almost palpable, as the bombshells continue to spread like wildfire. The stone has been rolled away, the tomb is empty, and the question lingers, where is he? The Roman soldiers, who had been stationed to guard the site until then, are now visibly distraught. Their faces reflect a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Reports say they fell as if dead, such was the intensity of what they witnessed. They claim to have seen a bright light like lightning and the majestic figure of a supernatural being. There is a touch of awe and reverence in their voices, a tale that defies the logic of men trained to fear nothing. Out on the streets, the disciples are still trying to comprehend the magnitude of what has happened. Peter and John, with tense expressions, are seen running toward the tomb. There is an urgency in their steps, a silent desperation to confirm the unbelievable. Arriving there, they find only the linen cloths, carefully folded. The scene is both an enigma and a revelation. The atmosphere is electric. Religious leaders, on the other hand, are in a state of denial and crisis. Gathered in their chambers, they echo orders and strategies to counter the narrative that threatens to turn the world upside down. The streets are filled with murmurs, a growing agitation as people everywhere fervently discuss what this means. In this early climax, emotions are running high. The entire city seems on the brink of an inevitable clash between faith and reason, doubt and beliefs. The tension is palpable as every soul searches for answers, trying to understand if this is truly the beginning of something divine. From where I stand, I can see faces lit with hope, others shadowed by doubt. It's a moment of feverish anticipation, a frozen instant on the threshold of history. We will continue to monitor every movement, every murmur, as unfolding events promise to redefine the course of humanity. Stay with us for further updates on this evolving historical account. Here we are, my listeners, at one of the most dramatic and unexpected turnarounds we have ever witnessed. The sun had barely risen over Jerusalem when a rumor began to spread through the narrow, dusty streets. The tomb of Jesus of Nazareth is empty. I repeat, the tomb is empty. This belief hangs heavy in the air like a smokescreen after battle, covering the city with a blanket of confusion and speculation. The scene is one of utter turmoil. Roman soldiers, who have been assigned to guard the tomb's entrance, are stunned. They still stand there, paralyzed, unable to explain how the stone sealing the entrance was removed. Some are murmuring among themselves, others simply stare at the ground, unable to face the growing crowd gathering around the site. It's as if everyone knows they are witnessing something beyond the ordinary, something that defies logic and the established order. Religious leaders, who were once certain this chapter was closed, now find themselves forced to react quickly. They are here too, their expressions one of concern mixed with disbelief. They are whispering among themselves, discussing animatedly, trying to find an explanation, a solution to this new and disconcerting reality. The tension is palpable, a war of words and glances, a battle without swords, but equally fierce. Jesus' followers, those who considered him their teacher and guide, are in a state of shock and hope. Some fall to their knees, praying or perhaps seeking understanding. Others move frantically, as if seeking to confirm with their own eyes what their minds cannot accept. There are tears, uncertain smiles, a frenzy of emotions that sweeps through the room like a storm. Right now, the city that has barely awakened seems to be on the verge of a new beginning. People are talking, speculating, each adding their own spin to the emerging narrative. What does this mean for the future? What path will be forged from this upheaval? While questions multiply, the only certainty is that the emptiness of the tomb has brought with it a wave of uncertainty and possibility. We are undoubtedly at the epicenter of a monumental shift, and only time will tell what its consequences will be. Stay with us as we continue to follow this story that is just beginning to unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm reporting directly from Jerusalem, where the commotion is palpable, and a mystery deepens with each passing moment. The tomb, the one that held the body of Jesus of Nazareth, is, incredibly, empty. The stone sealing the entrance, a formidable obstacle, has been removed, and, against all expectations, there is no sign of him inside. The air is filled with an almost electric tension as crowds begin to gather nearby. Disciples, followers, and even the curious all seek answers to what many are calling a miraculous event. There are murmurs of an angel being seen, a resplendent figure who is said to have announced that he is risen. The news spreads like wildfire, igniting hearts and minds with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The soldiers on guard duty appear stunned, unable to explain how something like this could have happened under their watchful eyes. Witnesses speak of an earthquake at dawn, an invisible force that seems to have moved the earth itself, as if the universe were reacting to this extraordinary turn of events. Inside the tomb, the shroud that wrapped the body is carefully folded, a detail that only adds to the intrigue. There are no signs of a hasty theft. Every detail seems calculated, part of a plan much larger than anyone could have imagined. As we watch, the entire city seems to be in a frenzy. Religious leaders are in turmoil, trying to contain the spread of this news that challenges their own expectations and beliefs. However, for many here, this is the climax of a narrative that began 3 days ago, when the man who taught love and compassion was crucified. Now, at the dawn of a new day, victory seems to belong to those who believe that death did not have the final word. Here, at the epicenter of this miracle, the atmosphere is one of anticipation. What does this event mean for the future? What implications will it have for the world? Only time will tell, but today, we witness the birth of something that will transform the course of history forever. This is a direct account of the scene where the impossible has just become reality. Stay tuned as the story continues to unfold before our eyes. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the scene that is shaking all of Jerusalem. The news that has just arrived is so extraordinary that many still refuse to believe it. We are at the site where the most mysterious events are unfolding, before the astonished eyes of followers, skeptics, and authorities. The tomb that held Jesus of Nazareth is empty. That's right, empty. The women who came with spices to anoint the body found the stone rolled away and the tomb wide open. Now, the confusion and shock reverberate like a seismic wave throughout the city. People are in the streets, murmuring, questioning. Roman soldiers guarding the tomb are stunned, unable to explain how the stone was moved without anyone noticing. Word spreads quickly through the alleys and markets. The air seems charged with anticipation and disbelief. At this moment, many of Jesus' disciples are gathering together, seeking answers. There is a growing fervor among them, a mixture of hope and fear. What does this mean? Where is the body? The religious leaders are perplexed, and there are reports that they are gathered, perhaps in panic, perhaps planning a response. Some claim to have seen angels at the tomb, others speak of an indescribable divine presence. One thing is certain, nothing can be taken for granted at this moment. The immediate impact of this event is profound. Followers who have been discouraged now seem invigorated by a new hope. The city is in an uproar. Discussions rage on every street corner, in homes, in temples. Roman authorities are undoubtedly concerned about the potential for civil unrest. In the markets, merchants pause in their sales, their eyes attentive to the conversations unfolding around them. In homes and taverns, families gather around tables, debating what all this might mean. For some, this is a sign of hope, a promise fulfilled. For others, a disturbing unknown. Far from here, news begins to spread, traveling by road and sea, reaching distant lands. From Rome to Alexandria, from Damascus to Athens, the world is in a state of anticipation, awaiting more details, trying to discern the truth behind the rumors reaching their ears. The followers, those who believed from the beginning, now walk the streets with a new determination in their steps. Their faces, once marked by sadness and doubt, now shine with a renewed light. For them, this is confirmation, a turning point in the destiny of humanity. Even skeptics, those who scoffed or ignored it, now face a reality that challenges their beliefs. Universities and schools of thought, scholars and philosophers, find themselves pressured to reconsider their certainties. Questions about life and death, purpose and truth, resurface with renewed intensity. Dear listeners, we are on the verge of a shift that could redefine eras, a living story being written before our eyes. We remain here, attentive, to bring you each new twist, each new reaction in this extraordinary scenario. The world watches, waits, and amidst this turmoil, everyone asks, what comes next? Stay with us for more updates as this story unfolds. We are here, live, in Jerusalem, where the air is thick with disbelief and speculation. The city, still reeling from the shock of the empty tomb report, now faces a new normal. The streets are filled with murmurs and furtive glances. People from all over gather, trying to understand what really happened. This is a time of unrest and hope, of doubt and renewed faith. For many, life after the event has a completely different meaning. Jesus' followers, who once walked around with their heads bowed in the face of the crucifixion, now display an indescribable glow in their eyes. I am here, surrounded by men and women who fervently testify to having seen Jesus alive. They speak of personal encounters, moments of recognition, and familiar gestures that could only come from someone they knew well. In synagogues and public squares, heated debates rage constantly. Religious leaders are challenged to respond to the growing clamor. Many priests are divided, between those demanding rational explanations and others beginning to ponder the possibility of the impossible. Jesus' words, once considered enigmatic, now resonate with new understanding among his listeners. In the market, commerce continues, but with a new dynamic. Transactions are interspersed with intense conversations about the rumors. Foreigners, drawn by the news, bring questions and theories from their distant lands. It's as if the whole world is focused on this small town, awaiting the next chapter in this extraordinary story. Families gather in the evenings, by lamplight, to discuss the events. What does this mean for the future? It's the question that resonates in the hearts of many. Some speak of hope, others fear reprisals. But everyone feels they are living through something unprecedented. Meanwhile, the Romans keep a wary eye. There's a palpable tension within their ranks. Maintaining order is crucial to them, but even they are affected by rumors of what the people consider a miracle. The authorities wonder how to control a narrative that cannot be suppressed by force. Here, among all these groups, change is undeniable. Life after the event is filled with uncertainty, but also with a faith that refuses to be contained. Jerusalem will not be the same. The world will not be the same. The new normal is a reality unfolding before us, and as these stories spread, one thing is certain: we are witnessing the beginning of a transformative era. As the sun rises over Jerusalem, a city still reeling from the events of the past few days, I feel the weight of what we have witnessed. Jesus' empty tomb, a place that should have been silent and final, has become an epicenter of hope and speculation. Looking back on this experience, I can't help but reflect on what this event truly means for all of us who live and breathe this historic moment. The days have been a mixture of chaos and anticipation. Since the crucifixion, a shadow has hung over the city. Murmurs of doubt and fear spread, but they were quickly replaced by a wave of astonishment as news spread that the body had disappeared. The stone guarding the tomb's entrance was found displaced, as if unseen forces had decided to change the course of history. As I spoke with the disciples, I noticed in their eyes the same wonder many of us feel. The presence of faith and disbelief, intertwined, such a human mix in the face of the inexplicable. From Mary Magdalene to the Galilean fishermen, everyone finds themselves at a crossroads. The world they knew seems to have changed irrevocably. As a reporter, striving to remain objective, I cannot ignore the profound impact this moment has on my own understanding of what is possible. Walking through the narrow streets, where the aroma of fresh bread and spices mingles with the air, I see faces bearing questions. What does this mean for us? What do we do with the knowledge that death, apparently, is not the end? This resurrection, if true, challenges our most fundamental perceptions about life and the afterlife. Today, I don't bring definitive answers, but a clear lesson: the resilience of hope. The world, however bleak it may seem, contains within itself the potential for rebirth and renewal. The empty tomb is not just a physical space, but an invitation to reflect on the unknown and the power of possibilities. It forces us to consider the fragility and, at the same time, the strength of human faith. As I prepare to close this chapter in our broadcasts, the journey continues. This event changed the narrative forever, and we, who are here to tell it, must bear the responsibility of keeping alive the truth that, even in the face of the inexplicable, the search for understanding and meaning never ceases. Amid the silence that follows the words, the reverence for this historic moment remains. And so, we continue, together, toward the unknown, always searching for the next truths. Here we are, on the threshold of the unexpected. The sun rises slowly, tinting the sky with hues of orange and gold, while the morning breeze brings a freshness that seems to carry ancient stories. Around me, the hills of Jerusalem still echo the extraordinary events that have just transpired. The earth seems to vibrate with anticipation. The tomb is empty. The stone that once sealed the entrance is now rolled aside, and the cave is empty, silent, yet full of mystery. As the echoes of that morning spread, people begin to gather. Faces express perplexity and hope. A profound mystery surrounds this place. What we saw, what we felt here, transcends words and defies comprehension. The resurrection, an event that could change the course of history, is before our eyes. At this point, we see Mary Magdalene, still in emotion, sharing her vision. "I have seen him," she says, "he is alive." Her voice is fragile, but imbued with unshakable conviction. This testimony spreads like wildfire, igniting hearts all around. Dear listeners, as we share this event, we cannot help but reflect on its connection to our own times. The resurrection is not just a story from the past, it is a message of hope and renewal that resonates to this day. Like the disciples, many of us search for meaning, purpose, something that connects us to something greater. The scene we witness here is both a conclusion and a beginning. This is not just the story of an empty tomb, but the beginning of a new way of understanding and living. The message of love, sacrifice, and renewal continues to inspire generations, encouraging us to look beyond our limitations and divisions. It's a call, dear listeners, for each of us to find our own path, so we can connect with the lessons of this timeless event. As the dust begins to settle on this sacred ground, let us remember that history continues to be written, and we are a part of it. So, as we reflect on this extraordinary morning, we invite you to explore what this event means for you, in your life, and in your community. The story of the empty tomb is, above all, a story of hope. And hope, as we know, is a powerful force, capable of moving mountains, transforming hearts, and perhaps even changing the world. The journey continues, and you, dear listener, are a protagonist in this eternal narrative. Which path will you choose to follow?